Hey guys, tonight we are about to embark on a journey through time to the cold and misty dawns of early medieval Europe. Imagine yourself on the edge of a forest where the air is crisp and the ground is blanketed in delicate dew. You're bending low, carefully parting the undergrowth to gather wild mushrooms. Suddenly the tranquility is shattered by the rhythmic clinking of metal and the stealthy rustle of footsteps. Before you can react, you realize you're not alone. A band of Viking raiders emerges from the mist, and everything fades to dark. In this story, you probably won't survive. This Viking raids were notoriously unpredictable and intense. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. If you're up for it, drop your location and local time in the comments below. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake to the gentle murmuring of the forest, finding yourself lying on a bed of cool, damp leaves. Your head throbs with a dull pain as fragments of your memory drift back. The early morning still clings to the landscape with its silvery mist, and you blink against the pale light filtering through the trees. The chill in the air wraps around you, pulling you into the present moment. As your senses sharpen, the distant cry of a fox echoes through the woods. You push yourself to sit, feeling the rough bark of a pine tree against your back. A fog of confusion lingers, slowly pierced by flashes of memory. The startling appearance of rugged silhouettes, leather armor, glinting faintly in the breaking dawn, and the swift, practiced movements of men skilled in the art of ambush. The Vikings, renowned seafarers from the north, are on yet another expedition. Historians still debate whether these voyages were primarily for trade or plunder, but one thing was certain: their unexpected presence spread both fear and awe. They excelled at navigating the seas, their longships slicing through the waters, often arriving unheralded on foreign shores. The metal clinks you heard were the sounds of their weapons: axes, swords, and shields, all tools of survival on such voyages. You rise unsteadily to your feet, swallowing a wince as your muscles protest. There's an unusual sense of eerie calm surrounding you. Back home, stories of Viking raids were both feared and fabulously woven into the fabric of local lore. Yet standing here now, amidst the whispers of the forest, you realize how utterly alone you are, with only the soft whisper of the breeze to keep you company. The forest feels different as you stand. You notice a trail leading deeper into the woods. It's narrow and overgrown, almost secretive. You wonder if it might lead to safety or perhaps to the heart of the Vikings' camp. In this moment, the world is a tapestry of possibilities. Each breath seizes a moment. Every decision intertwines with fate. As you start to move, the rustling of leaves underfoot and the gentle chime of a distant brook serve as the only soundscape around you. There's something intimate about being this close to nature, as though you've tapped into an ancient rhythm that beats in sync with your own heart. While Vikings are often portrayed as ruthless raiders, they were also skilled artisans and navigators. Did you know that they used a special stone called a sunstone to help navigate on cloudy days? It might seem like a work of fiction, but some historians believe these stones could find the sun's position even through the thickest overcast, though consensus on their widespread use remains elusive. You pause, suddenly aware of the warm, earthy scent of mushrooms wafting up from the basket you'd forgotten you still clutched. It's comforting, this simple harvest from the land that felt like home mere hours ago. Memories of sunlit mornings, soft laughter and feasting around the hearth come unbidden to your mind, offering a poignant reminder of all that's at stake. Before long, your wandering leads you to a small clearing where the forest gives way to the simple beauty of an open glade. Here the sun seems to shine more assertively, the mist lifting gradually, like a curtain revealing a stage. Though you're still among shadows and uncertainty, hope flickers with the possibility of eluding capture. Standing here contemplating your next move, attention resolves quietly inside you. The Vikings may be formidable, and their presence a dire threat, but there must also be room for courage and cleverness. After all, history is full of accounts of those who live to tell their stories. In the stillness of the glade, the world narrows to what truly matters: survival, memory, and a cautious but undeniable sense of wonder. You are beneath the ship's deck, and the world sways around you like a giant cradle. It's surprisingly quiet down here, the sounds from above dulled by layers of wood and canvas. But the symphony of the sea is ever present, with waves slamming against the hull, creating a rhythmic lullaby that should feel soothing if not for the situation. You're tied snugly to a post, the rope biting slightly into your skin with each jolt. The air is humid and thick, carrying the stench of dried fish mingled with the sourness of vomit and sweat. It's an overwhelming potpourri that catches in the back of your throat. Nobody speaks, not even a whisper. You can almost hear the silence echo, heavy and resigned. There's something oddly unifying in this shared discomfort. Time drags on, unmarked by sun or moon, as the ship rocks endlessly over the dark expanse of the ocean. The passage of days is felt in how the crew moves on the deck above a dance of boots and orders a rustle of sails, and occasionally through the noises that penetrate the barriers, muffled voices, the omnipresent creak of a ship in motion, and the occasional cascade of water as it splashes up over the edge. During one of these rocking lulls, you remember learning about how vessels, like this living creatures all their own, were the arteries of trade and conquest, carrying fortunes in spices, silk, or unfortunate souls captured for slavery. It's a harsh reality that draws a sharp line between adventure and atrocity. But here in this cramped, salted cocoon, there's a peculiar camaraderie among you and your fellow passengers, the kind drawn not from shared story or song, but from the mutual understanding of your predicament. Curiously, historians still debate whether voyages like these were planned with survival or simply the most economical means in mind. You find your fatigue turning the rocking of the ship into a gentle hypnotic rhythm. It's like being cradled by the hands of history itself, though the smell of salted despair is a reminder that luxury was a distant thought. There's a surprising resilience in the human spirit even during such times. You recall hearing tales of people who carved messages into the wooden beams, secret missives of hope or despair. Perhaps they are still there, covered by layers of grime and the stories of countless feet. Your mind drifts, wondering what you would write if you could just reach out and touch the damp wood. As you lie there rocked by the pulse of the ocean, you notice how your senses slip between the humdrum of the immediate and some distant hazy dreams. It's said that the ocean can inspire madness in men, but right now, it simply conjures a daze of half-formed fancy. You feel strangely that the endless rocking could lull you to a semblance of rest, if only there were fewer reminders of your own fragility. Your thoughts are inexorably tied to the rhythm of the sea, much like your body is to the ropes. Some part of you wonders at the vastness of it, the histories it holds, the secrets sunk beneath its waves, and the echoes of all who've traveled it before. This voyage will become one of many stories swallowed eventually by time. But for now, you remain a silent observer to the passing of days, lulled by the incessant rocking, waiting for a whisper, a glimpse of change, or land, or anything outside this floating, rocking universe. Dragged ashore, you find yourself struggling against the cold, gritty sand. Your hands tremble uncontrollably as the waves retreat, leaving you exposed to the curious eyes of a number of onlookers. Their clothes are rich and warm, bedecked in furs that speak of a world where comfort and luxury are easily within reach. As they draw closer, their scrutinizing gazes fall upon you, aware of your every flaw and feature. They inspect your teeth as if assessing the prowess of a prize steed, checking for any sign of health. Each arm is lifted and examined for strength or hint of malady. Scars, like roads on a map, tell silent stories of past struggles that these observers seem all too keen to interpret. Your body is not your own here. It is a canvas on which your history is written, and judging eyes search for meaning in the strokes. Among the crowd, there is a man set slightly apart. He isn't just part of the ensemble of voices and rustling furs. No, his presence commands attention as he silently appraises you. After moments that seem to stretch into eternity, he raises a hand, extends a finger, and nods almost imperceptibly. You realize with sinking acceptance that you are his now. Ownership is theirs to bestow, and in this moment you become part of an ancient transaction that spans history. Slavery as chilling a reality as it was shaped vast portions of human civilizations. From the fields of the Roman Empire to the vast trading networks of the Arab world, it was both an industry and a way of life. Cities grew, and economies flourished sometimes on the backs of those who had little choice, echoing the melodies of survival that you've now joined. Yet in these silent exchanges beneath the watchful skies, a particular uncertainty hangs. Historians still debate whether the economic advantages truly outweighed the moral and social costs, a topic heavy, with implications and standing as a stark reminder that every era grapples with its own demons. You are led away, each step echoing against the cobblestones, as the city's life thrums around you like a distant heartbeat. The people you pass pay little attention, busy with their own trades and tribulations. Market stalls brim with goods, spices that scent the air, gleaming fabrics that promise luxury, purring cats curled sunbathing on warm stone pedestals. All of this exists in stark contrast to the metal shackles secure around your wrists. The man who now claims you is a merchant of some repute, with eyes that have not dimmed despite years under different skies. He speaks with knowledge of distant places of silks and spices whose names roll off his tongue like enchanting spells. You learn to listen carefully, his words dripping with hints of unexpected detail, such as the astonishing fact that pepper was once worth its weight in gold, a king of condiments reigning supreme over many a meal. As you settle into this new life, you can't help but notice the rhythm of the house around you. Servants bustle about, with practiced ease their movements, a delicate dance of hushed efficiency against the backdrop of the merchant's domain. Each carries out their tasks with precision, born of experience, arranging and rearranging until all fits perfectly. And while the future remains an uncharted expanse, your mind wanders to tales of escape and freedom. You recall a story shared one evening over dimmed lanterns, a legend of swans that flew across mountains to find warmer climes. Just like them, you wonder if one day your spirit would find wings to carry you. For now, though, you rest wrapped in a blanket of history, unfolding with dreams that are perhaps not just your own, but those of countless others who walked this path. Here beside the walls that hold their secrets close, the narrative stretches on, weaving itself into the tapestry of the world. As you settle into this humble hayloft, turned makeshift shelter, the pungent scent of dung and mildew fills your nostrils. The cold wind slips through the gaps in the wooden slats, nipping at your skin like a curious chill. The wind outside has become a breathy symphony, rustling through the hay and shivering the wooden beams above. It's somehow both unsettling and comforting, reminding you that you're part of a world far larger than this moment. Back in the days when such rustic shelters were common refuges for weary travelers, life carried on with a certain raw authenticity. Flash back to medieval times, when an inn might be a distant dream, and a hayloft or goat, shed much like the one you're in, would provide overnight sanctuary. Imagine yourself in the shoes of a medieval peasant, your life revolving around the rhythms of the land. In the world of yore, you might have ended up here after a long day of trading at a bustling market, though historical accounts indicate that not all transactions ended in gold coins and hearty handshakes. Some even speculate about the barter of goods, ranging from livestock to handcrafted wares, although historians still debate whether medieval markets were more barter or cash-based economies. The shelter might not be glamorous, but it holds its own unpretentious charm. From underneath your blanket of straw, you ponder the truly surprising details of yesteryear. For instance, did you know that during the Middle Ages, people sometimes used fermented goose feathers as insulation? The idea was to repurpose every available resource effectively, an ingenious, if slightly bizarre, method to keep warm. The wind's soft whistling mixes with your thoughts, tugging at memories of stories passed down through generations. Remember that night under the stars, when you listened to a bard recount tales of those who braved more dangerous journeys. The legend of Leif Erikson, the intrepid Norse adventurer, comes to mind. It's said he sailed the seas long before Columbus, reaching the shores of North America in the early 11th century. While some claim he was seeking timber for his homeland, others suggest he might have simply been following whispered legends of a land to the west. Ericsson's tale is a reminder that history is shaped as much by what we know for certain as by what we dream could be true. A sudden gust tempers the air and snaps you back to the present, as if announcing another chapter in this peculiar night. The creaking slats remind you of how fragile these wooden bones are, standing strong against the elements, but ever so slightly yielding. It's the same tenacity that saw generations before you through plagues, famines, and wars, where every day was uncertain and memories were treasures more valuable than gold. Burrowing deeper into the hay, you imagine conversations that might have filled such a space. What strange tales or whispered secrets could these walls tell, if given voice? Maybe it was where villagers gathered in hushed tones, gossiping about the neighboring kingdom's latest scandal, or marveling at the peculiar fashions from distant lands brought by traders. Despite its rustic simplicity, this shelter serves as your cocoon for the night, a reminder that history is not just about grand palaces and epic battles. It's woven into the fabric of everyday life, stitched together with threads of curiosity and resilience. In your own musings, perhaps you'll find a newfound appreciation for the mundane, those normal moments that, unbeknownst to us, become the stories that fill the history books of tomorrow. As sleep begins to pull at the edges of your consciousness, the cold wind leans in once more, a gentle reminder that you're not alone in this grand tapestry of time. The stars hidden beyond the timbered roof shimmer somewhere above as celestial guardians of your dreams. In this mosaic of experience, hayloft and history, you sense the interconnection of past and present, a continuous flow from one moment into the next, just like this tale that's yet to reach its inevitable pause. And so even as you nestle further into the protective arms of this humble retreat, you realize that while our stories may be separated by centuries, the essence of human experience remains enduringly familiar. As your eyes grow heavy, the cold wind becomes a lullaby of history, singing you softly into tomorrow. The chill of the room seeps into your bones as you lay there tucked among the straw bedding beneath the coarse woolen blankets. Your eyes slowly peel open to the dim pre-dawn light that filters through the cracks in the wooden walls. The faint sound of footsteps echoes down the stone corridor, outside each step measured and deliberate. There is anticipation in the air, mingling with the smell of smoke and earth. You sit up, rubbing the sleep from your eyes, trying to place yourself in this new reality. You are the new thrall here, just another cog in the ever-turning wheel of the master's grand design. You rub your wrists absent-mindedly, feeling the tenderness where rough bindings had once held you tight during the long journey here. The master never asks your name or speaks to you directly. To him, you're a tool, carefully selected for use, and not much more. Yet deep within an ember of identity and resistance still smolders even in this foreign land. The stone walls around you are ancient, steeped in history that whispers through the ages. Historians debate whether these stones were laid during the last sunset of the Roman fortresses, or by the hands of Saxons who bore them with pride centuries after. You have only just arrived here, but you can almost hear their labor, feel the weight of their toil combining with yours. You stand stretching out to shake off the lingering weariness. The room is bare, save for a small wooden stool and a smattering of clothes laid neatly by your bed. Simple garments, rough and plain, designed for utility. The morning air is crisp as you dress, wrapping the fabric around you, each knot and loop a part of a routine that hasn't changed in decades. As you step outside, the courtyard is bustling with life, filled with people moving with a rehearsed efficiency. They all seem to know their place here, a pattern you have yet to learn. Your eyes scan the scene, your senses sipping in details like a honeybee sips nectar. A team is hard at work, fittingly heaving stones across the way, under the discerning eye of one of the master's stern overseers. Nearby, a smithy sings with the music of metal. Against metal, the sparks flying up like fiery confetti in celebration of the task. You are drawn towards it not by choice, but at the unspoken direction of a motion towards another thrall, who meets your eyes with a nod, a cue that's packed with meaning in this place, where words are kept to a minimum. Despite the inherent darkness of your predicament, there is a strange comfort in routine. A part of you finds odd satisfaction in the smooth rhythm of labor, losing yourself in the melting of metal and the hissing of the cooling baths. In these moments, you are a part of history's machinery, living echoes of a forge-lit past. As you move, you remember a fact you once learned without context. Vikings used an unusual technique to shape their swords, folding the iron to increase strength and durability, a skill that echoes through your own work now. Indeed, here in this great hall's courtyard, masters and thralls alike continue in the ancient traditions, guided by whispers of precedent and necessity. Your stomach grumbles, distracting you momentarily. It's a reminder of the meager meals, a shared reality among all those in your position, from the field's distant farmers to the cooks laboring over the great open fires in the manor house. The midday meal is simple, a bowl of pottage filled with roots grains, and any fresh addition today, like rabbit or chicken, if the hunt was successful. Sustenance more than satisfaction. As you eat, your mind wanders to the tales shared in hushed corners and shadowed alcoves. These stories speak of freedom, of cunning deeds, or miraculous escapes. A part of you, the dreaming part, listens greedily, storing these sparks for the long reflective nights, where the stars hold their silent watch over the lands. Across the way, you notice the master's retinue returning from the hunt, their silhouettes outlined by the dying rays of the day's sun. They move briskly, pleased with their spoils, brushed proudly with the day's efforts. The master, a figure of formidable presence and austere authority, commands respect that you witness but never really feel. Your tasks are many and varied, depending on the day and the master's whim. It is work that feels endless sometimes, mind-numbing, yet It sustains both the manor and those who live here. The work binds the community together in a shared tapestry of effort and endurance. Even though you are on its fringes, a thread in the vast design, constrained by the bonds of servitude. Yet even here, connections form silent and enduring. Historians still debate whether people like you ever found solace in such a life. Did the routine offer a covert path to resilience, or was it just another layer of captivity in a painted cage? You suspect the answer lies somewhere in the blend of dusk and dawn, in the stories woven through whispered confidences, and in the acts of small defiance that sparked courage anew. At sunset, the manor's great hall draws the weary in from their labors. It is time to rest, to mend the breaks that daylight had wrought. The fire crackles provocatively in the central hearth, casting a warm glow that dances on stone walls. As the flames flare, your thoughts drift with them, mesmerized by the hypnotic flicker. Here in the shared warmth beneath the watchful eyes, and among the murmurs of your fellow thralls, you find a fragment of peace, a fleeting refuge. In this timeless space, you remember who you are, not just the new thrall, but a spirit bound to its own history, waiting, watching for the moment it might rewrite its story within the pages of this ancient place. Before the rooster crows, the stars still pepper the night sky, twinkling faintly against the velvety darkness. You rise quietly from your straw bedding, careful not to disturb those still lost in slumber. The air carries a hint of the chill that creeps in just before dawn. A single candle flickers beside you, casting soft shadows that dance along the walls as you move. Your first task awaits fetching water from the well. You step outside, greeted by the gentle whisper of leaves in the early morning breeze. The village rests in a serene hush, the houses silhouetted against the dim horizon. You grip the wooden pail, its weight familiar in your hand, and make your way to the well, feeling the cool earth beneath your feet. As you wind the rope, the creaking of the pulley echoes softly. Historians suggest that in this era of simplicity, tasks like these formed the backbone of daily life, where community routines revolved around the natural light of day. As you pull the bucket up, hand over hand, you wonder if they ever imagined a world where water could gush forth with the twist of a tap, an invention not yet dreamed of. Water secured, it's time to light the household fires. The kindling crackles sending a comforting warmth into the surrounding air as the flames begin to grow. Fire, the ancient ally of humanity, crackles and pops, illuminating the room with its orange glow. Did you know that fire has been with humankind since the age when they first learned to tame it, possibly 2 million years ago? Yet here, you stand still, respecting its age-old dance, coaxing warmth and light from its grace. With the fire burning brightly, your hands move to the heavy stone of the grain mill. The steady rhythm of grinding fills the air, a sound as ancient as civilization itself. It's said that grinding grain dates back thousands of years to the Fertile Crescent, a task unchanged as societies evolved, but in many ways similar to what you're doing now. You hum softly, setting a cadence to your work. your mind wandering to tales, passed down stories of days when milling grain was so significant it could make or break entire communities. The scent of fresh grain mixed with the dew-laden morning air is surprisingly refreshing. Your senses are alive, even as the first strokes of the morning light cautiously paint the world in soft pastels. You find yourself lost in these moments, a meditative repetition that allows your thoughts to wander while your hands engage in their well-practiced tasks. Finally, it's time to gather wood for the day, an act of essential preparation. Outside, the world is slowly waking. Birds begin their daily chorus, a reminder of life's persistent rhythm. The logs are heavy, their bark rough against your skin, a testament to their potential energy that will soon bring warmth and sustenance. Some historians debate whether gathering wood predates the art of stone tools or followed closely after. Either way, as you work, you feel connected to a lineage as old as the hills surrounding your village. You stack the wood neatly, feeling the satisfaction that comes from completing every task before the sun has fully breached the horizon. As you pause, allowing yourself a moment to breathe deeply and absorb the beauty of the transition from night to day, you recognize this quiet hour as a gift. The chaotic dance of a bustling day has yet to unfold, and here in these serene moments, you find peace. Despite the simplicity of these chores, or perhaps because of it, you realize how often these overlooked rituals have shaped lives throughout history. Before the day begins in earnest, you take a moment to rest, feeling the hum of energy that marks the start of any new day. Nestled in these small traditions is a sense of purpose, timeless in its way, echoing in the lives of countless generations before you, and in different forms, likely carrying forward into the future. You've been pacing through the labyrinthine corridors of your thoughts each turn, bringing a fresh tapestry of shadows and whispers. She stands at the edge of your vision, her gaze flickering between disgust and a strange curiosity as she observes you. You tilt your head, trying to catch the murmurs swirling around her like an intangible mist. But the words are elusive dancing just beyond comprehension, a language unknown and unshared, leaving you in silence. You wonder if this is how ancient travelers felt, at the mercy of foreign sounds in distant lands, unable to grasp the meanings that threaded through every conversation. As you ponder this, your mind drifts back to the merchant journeys along the Silk Road, where traders from Venice to Xi'an faced similar challenges. They communicated through gestures and bartered their tongues, speaking different stories that echoed through time. Historians have long debated whether Marco Polo truly traveled to China, or whether his accounts were woven from tales heard during his travels. Yet regardless of the truth, his stories brought the Orient's marvels to Europe, stirring both intrigue and skepticism, just like the feeling she harbors for you. You glance over at her again, wondering what she thinks as she studies you, an explorer in a world where you are as much of a mystery to her as she is to you. Her look of disgust suggests you might have stumbled into a faux pas, the cultural equivalent of using the wrong fork at a medieval feast. Did politeness dictate that you speak a language you don't know? Or is it enough to be present, absorbing the scene with patience? Moments like these were familiar to medieval diplomats, who often found themselves dispatched to exotic courts. They were expected to convey messages without words, relying on gifts, gestures, and the hope that goodwill would bridge the silence. Once in the court of Kublai Khan, envoys watched as exotic animals, spices, and silks exchanged hands gifts that spoke a universal tongue of trade and alliance. The corner of her mouth twitches, pondering her next move. You linger in the presence of these unspoken stories, absorbing the scene through every sense but hearing. Your silence mirrors the great libraries of Alexandria, a place where scrolls and texts whispered secrets of the ancient world to those who could unlock them. Today, historians still debate the true contents of the lost library and its untimely destruction. It's a reminder of how understanding is fragile, reliant on shared languages, and respect for the intangible threads of human connection. As the whispers grow louder, a shiver runs down your spine. Evocative echoes that remind you of the Norse explorers who ventured out to sea without maps, guided solely by stars and instinct. Their voyages were predicated on faith in the unseen, much like your current journey through a field of uncertain sounds. Still, there's a beauty in not knowing. Each phrase you can't discern adds to the allure of discovery, like the starlight that guided the Vikings to the edges of the known world. And though no one stands by to teach you these words, you find comfort in your patience, trusting that every whisper carries its own guidance, leading you through this twilight maze. Her eyes meet yours, two explorers charting unfamiliar courses, and in that moment, there's a shared understanding beyond words, a silent truce woven into the space between you. Just like the alliances formed without a common language centuries ago, sealed by mutual curiosity and need. The echo of the whispers begins to fade, but their essence lingers hanging in the air like an unsolved riddle. You're left contemplating their timeless dance, much like the oral traditions once used to pass history down through generations before the written word tethered them to the page. As your thoughts drift, the mystery becomes less about solving the language and more about embracing the journey through it. Your path is not fixed much, like the ancient navigators who sought new worlds. Whatever she sees in you, whether it be disgust or curiosity, you know it forms another chapter of this ongoing story, written in glances and gestures. The whispers become your companions, silent partners in a dance that spans time and space. You walk beside them, their presence a gentle reminder that while words may be lost or unheard, their essence endures, a silent song carried on the wind, inviting you to listen, learn, and perhaps someday understand. The family gathers around the warmth of the hearth, their faces glowing softly in the flickering firelight. You sit at a distance near the creaky wooden door, where the chill seeps through the cracks, biting at your fingers. While they enjoy hearty stews and roasted meats, your meal consists of stale bread, thin gruel, and a few leftover bones with hardly any traces of meat. It's not the most appetizing of feasts, to say the least. The aroma from their meals wafts through the room, mingling with the scent of burning wood, and you're reminded of evenings in the long houses of ancient Scandinavia. There, people would gather in similar fashion, sharing stories and songs as they dined. Historians still debate whether Viking feasts included dishes as exotic as roasted seal or fermented fish. But they agree on one thing: banquets were events that underlined both community bonds and social status. Tonight, your humble fare emphasizes your own peculiar place. As you chew on the tough bread, you can't help but wonder at the roles we play in life and how they determine our everyday experiences, much like those of medieval serfs who lived under the lords of the manor. You're fortunate in a way to even be in the company of those by the fire. In those days, the distance you sit from the hearth would have mirrored the distance from the lord of the manor's dais, where his favored guests sat, leaving the workers to their stations further back, much like your spot near the door. A soft hum of conversation fills the air, punctuated by the occasional hearty laugh. It almost feels comforting, this collective familiarity. It calls to mind the salons of Enlightenment-era France, where philosophers, artists, and scientists gathered to exchange ideas while sipping on cordial and nibbling on honey cakes. The world had been changing then, just as it's always been changing, inching towards progress with each passing gathering. You tilt your head slightly, listening to the conversations, their tones blending into a lullaby of sorts. There's something soothing in the cadence of voices, matched only perhaps by the rhythmic thumping of the wind outside. The presence of others, even amidst a shared silence, is a testament to the power of human connection, whether through language or shared space. Your meal might not be grand, and your seat might not be the most comfortable, yet being a silent participant grants you a view that few take the time to appreciate. There's something artistically chaotic about the way life unfolds around you, the way stories and histories are woven in the space between breaths and pauses. It's unclear whether the tales told here will be remembered in the annals of history, but their value today is undeniable, much like the myths of ancient Greece that continue to captivate imaginations millennia later. As the final crumbs of bread pass your lips, you find yourself reflecting on the remnants of meals past and the echoes of conversations that have trudged these grounds. Sometimes the leftovers are the best part. While the primary courses are devoured, it's the bones that often hold the secrets of the stock pot, the rich marrowy proof of life's unspoken narratives. You shake your head slightly, lost in these thoughts, realizing that in the grand tapestry of history, each thread, whether vibrant or muted, whole or frayed, contributes to the overall picture. The warmth from the hearth seeps into your bones, now battling the cold draft from the door, and an unexpected contentment settles over you, reminding you that even on the outer circles of life's gatherings, you play a crucial part in the ever-unfolding story. The wind howls across the barren fields, cutting through the layers of your clothing as if they were thin as tissue paper. Snow piles high around you, each flake settling with a deceptive gentleness that belies the crushing weight as the drifts grow. The straw you've used for bedding is stiff and unyielding, frozen just like the ground beneath your feet. Each inhale brings cold air that bites at your lungs, and you can't remember the last time Your feet weren't purple from the relentless cold. The master stands nearby, seemingly unfazed by the elements. His voice, as sharp as the wind, carries over the harsh landscape. You hear the familiar command: dig trenches, heat water, chop ice. There is no rest even in this bleak winter. You can see your breath swirling in front of you, mingling with the steam from the nearby pots of water that refuse to heat quickly enough. This isn't the first winter you've endured under these conditions. The labor is backbreaking, yes, but there's a rhythm to it that you know all too well. The work keeps your mind occupied, a respite from the nagging thoughts of what life could be outside these grounds. The Russian winters of the 17th century were known for their severity, something every serf understood all too well. Historians still debate whether these conditions made Russia's serfs more resilient or simply more resigned to their fate. You glance up from your work, noticing your fellow laborers. Their faces are etched with the same fatigue, the same bleak acceptance. There's a strange camaraderie in the shared ordeal. That at least is something the master cannot take from you. In the distance you can make out the silhouette of the manor house, its large windows glowing warmly against the icy night. Inside, your master and his family no doubt sit by a roaring fire insulated by thick walls and heavy drapes. It's hard not to wonder what it would be like to feel that warmth, to slip from this endless cycle of shoveling, heating, and chopping. Suddenly, one of the elders beside you speaks up, recalling a tale of the revered Russian Tsar, Peter the Great. Known for his odd mix of brilliance and brutality, Peter was said to have engaged in similar tasks as his soldiers during military campaigns. He promoted a culture where even those of high rank were not above the work of common men, a fact that you find both surprising and a bit comforting, though it raises questions about leadership styles, past and present. The thought lingers as you return to your task feet, once again sinking into the bitter snow. There's a strange serenity to the repetitive motions. The sound of metal on ice, the warmth seeping in as you carry boiling water to keep it from freezing again. Even the aching muscles, all of it combines to form a bizarre, meditative state. A younger worker next to you murmurs something about his grandmother's stories, legends of warm summers and golden harvests, so far removed from the reality of this icy domain. You nod, but can't help the wry thought that those legends might be tales, spun simply to keep small children hopeful. It's a small comfort, really, one of those little things you cling to in the face of the endless winter. You find yourself lost in these thoughts, letting them drift as freely as the snowflakes that settle on your coat, forming a thin, shining layer that soon melts and gets absorbed by the fabric. The tasks repeat themselves in a hypnotic loop: dig, heat, chop, and so on. Each cycle punctuated by the master's brief inspections. The night stretches on, and you start to feel a change in the air. It's subtle at first, a little less biting, though it does nothing to relieve your aching feet. But there's something in the cold air, a hint of moisture, promising a warmer turn. You think back to the conversations that fluttered around the courtyard days ago about how sometimes, just sometimes, the deep cold relents without warning. As the final traces of daylight fade from the sky, turning the horizon into a muted watercolor of purples and grays, you sense a shift in the rhythm of the group. There's a cautious optimism as everyone pushes through the last round of chores. Together with your comrades, you make quick work of the remaining ice blocks, stacking them neatly before returning to the warmth of the straw, which is now thankfully softer as the frost begins to lift. And as the landscape embraces the night fully, there's a calmness that settles in a soft acceptance of one more day's end. You catch a final glimpse of the manor house, the orange glow of the windows dimming slightly, as if the family within is also winding down for the night. It serves as a warm beacon, almost like a promise of another day. You close your eyes, drawing into yourself for what warmth you can muster. Tomorrow promises more of the same snow straw and that unending series of commands. Yet here, in this moment of relative stillness, you find a quiet assurance beneath the frozen sky. Maybe, just maybe, the winter might surprise you yet, just as those legends of warmth and harvest hint. As you begin to drift towards slumber, you wrap yourself in these distant, hopeful thoughts, alongside the knowledge that when the dawn breaks, you'll face it together. You are sitting in a cozy room, the gentle hum of a fan in the background, the room illuminated by the soft glow of a lamp, casting warm shadows on the walls. The old man across from you leans back in his chair, his eyes gleaming with memories that span decades. His voice is gentle, reminiscent of snowflakes drifting down in the silence of winter. He begins to tell his tale, drawing you into the depths of an ancient woodland. You can almost feel the chill of the Slavic forests as he speaks, the kind of chill that seeps into your bones and tells tales of its own. You find yourself walking with him, a younger version of this gentle elder, captured not by force, but by the mysteries of the world around him. You probably won't survive this, he says with a teasing glint in his eye, sharing a sly smile. It's the kind of light-hearted warning that holds more warmth than malice, just enough to remind you of the adventures ahead. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. His request is simple, a part of this strange shared journey. As he continues, he invites you to share your own stories. Where are you listening from? What time is it where you are? He asks, weaving the threads of this shared human experience. This is a tradition, this sharing, this connection, as much as the stories themselves. Now, he begins his voice, lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. Dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. In your mind's eye, the world shifts and transforms into a dense forest. Tall pines arch upwards, their tops lost in the dusky evening sky, and the scent of the earth is rich and intoxicating. Each step you take is a crinkle of leaves, a snap of twigs, the forest floor alive beneath your feet. You're a child again, perhaps 8 or 9 years old, trailing after a figure with a familiar wise gait. The old man, though, is not old in this recollection. Instead, he is vibrant and aglow with the energy of youth. Around you, the forest reverberates with hidden life, a rustle here, a distant call there. Each sound is a story waiting to be uncovered. The man beside you begins his narration again, this time of the great beasts that wander these woods. Did you know, he starts, that the mighty aurochs once roamed these lands? You numbed, enthralled by the image of these ancient, enormous bovine creatures that once thundered through these very paths. Historians still debate whether they ever truly were on the brink of extinction or simply vanished overnight, like wisps of smoke carried away by the wind. The air is crisp and pure, each breath you take a reminder of life and the mysteries it holds. It's said that these forests have witnessed the passage of many. Armies tramped beneath these boughs, lovers carved their initials into bark, and travelers sought shelter from the storm. And here you are, a part of the living tapestry, connected with those who have walked before you. Unexpectedly, you come across a clearing where the forest opens its arms, welcoming the sun. In this space, the light pours down like liquid gold, pooling on the ground and spilling over the edges of your imagination. And at the center, an old oak, older than any memory you could conjure, stands sentinel. There, the young man points out as the last rays of sun catch on ancient carvings etched into the bark, symbols of days long past. Some say they were marks of travelers giving thanks. Others believe them to be protection spells, a fading charm against the marauders of old. His voice takes on a lilt of amusement, but of course it could just be a child with a bit of time and a dull knife. The scene shifts, and you find yourself back in the embrace of the woods. As night begins, its descent, stars unfurl like a celestial map above. You feel a deep sense of belonging, akin to the old man feeling connected to the earth, the sky, and everything in between. You continue through your journey listening to tales that are as much about the storyteller as they are about history. The elder's voice softens to a lullaby as he speaks of the trees that have seen too many suns to count the rivers that carved paths through these sacred lands, and the whispers of folklore that have enchanted generations. Each word is a snowflake, unique and delicate, weaving together the fabric of an endless story, a narrative not just of one man, but of a people, of a place, and of time itself. As his tales envelop you, you feel the gentle tug of slumber pulling you closer, the lines between reality and dream fading into the velvet night. With a soft sigh, you settle deeper into your chair, the forest fading from view, but the stories lingering like a faded scent. The old man's voice becomes softer, a whisper of a whisper, and you find solace in the thought that this moment, this tale, this journey is exactly where you're meant to be. In the quiet, with the shadows dancing around you, and the hum of the fan a gentle background murmur, you let go, surrendering to the night and the dreams yet to unfold. As the evening stretches its gentle arms over the Roman villa, a familiar scene unfolds. The lamps flicker with warm, inviting light, casting soft shadows across the mosaic floors. The air is filled with the low hum of distant conversations and the clinking of goblets as the household begins to wind down from the day's bustle. Amid this tranquility, you can sense the weariness settling into your bones as you continue with your daily tasks, hoping for a quiet conclusion to the evening. The master of the house, Caius, is celebrating the end of a successful harvest, a bountiful season that promises prosperity. His laughter echoes through the villa, carried on waves of wine and merriment. You've seen this scene before, his revelry often leads to excess. Tonight is no exception. His goblet is filled one too many times with the rich aroma of imported wines, dark and fragrant, brought to his villa on trading ships that sailed the very seas Caesar had once crossed. You probably won't survive this evening's escapade without some minor disaster, forewarned by the mischievous glint in Caius's eyes. Trying not to attract attention, you move quietly through the dining area, balancing a sturdy bronze bowl filled with fresh fruit. Historians still debate whether daily luxury was as ubiquitous among the Roman elite as some accounts suggest, but here the display is undeniable. Your hand trembles slightly under its weight, a reminder of the long hours spent toiling under the watchful eyes of the ever-attentive foreman. Suddenly, though, the unthinkable happens. An unexpected jolt, perhaps from the uneven stone underfoot, or a stray elbow in the crowded room, sends the bowl tumbling from your grip. A vibrant shower of figs and grapes cascades across the floor, like tiny comets against the night sky. The clatter draws heads, and your heart skips a beat as you scramble to gather the scattered fruit. Just as you begin to catch your breath, a swift, shadowy movement from the corner of your eye warns you of impending chastisement. A wooden club, wielded with the casual ease of familiarity, strikes down. It's not harsh, more an impatient warning, but its suddenness is enough to sting both your skin and your pride. There's a light grumble from the master who's too absorbed in his revels to take much notice. In the soft candlelight, you feel a mix of embarrassment and resolve. Perhaps this evening will serve as a reminder to be more vigilant, more careful. Yet, as often happens in life, you can't help but wonder at the sometimes ungracious whims of fate that leave tangible marks even as the festivities continue around you with little pause. The night deepens, and the villa seems to breathe more slowly with the cooling air. You resume your duties, clearing away empty dishes and spilled wine, the echoes of the earlier incident fading like the distant bustle of Rome's busy streets. It's curious to think how these streets are themselves an intricate weave of human stories, just like yours, each trailing its own history through time. As the party drifts toward a quieter end, the glow of the dying hearth offers a comfort that feels oddly reassuring. You think of the skilled hands that set these stones artisans, whose names you'll never know, but whose work remains long after the laughter has ceased. Even now, with the villa settling back into its nocturnal hush, the stones hold onto hundreds of stories, just like tonight's laid quietly into the fabric of history. Tonight you'll recall how even amidst trial and error like the bowl, slipped from your hands, there's room for growth. The wise philosopher Seneca, whose ideas ripple through learned circles, is known to have said, per aspera ad astra, through hardships to the stars. It's a comforting thought as you gather up the last crumbs of the day, preparing to turn towards the sanctuary of sleep. While you settle into the simplicity of your room and the soft murmur of the villa's nighttime sighs wrap around you, it occurs that these simple nights have borne witness to countless ages of empires rising and falling. In this singular moment, you are but a fleeting part of it all. Tonight's lessons will blend with others you've learned, guiding you gently into dreams, where perhaps the wooden club never fell, and the master drank just enough to toast never splutter. The villa grows silent save for the chorus of night creatures that take up the evening's refrain. As slumber edges closer, you consider once more the delicate tapestry history weaves. Just like tonight, there are always surprises, debates, and unanswered questions. But for now, let the quiet hum of night carry you softly away toward the comforting caress of sleep, where even the spilled fruit, the echoes of laughter, and the sharpness of discipline fade gracefully into dim, distant memory. In the dim glow of the evening hearth, you're sitting comfortably wrapped in the warm embrace of curiosity and the whispers of long-lost tales. The night air is gentle, the kind of air that carries stories like echoes from the past. Your mind wanders to a world that lived in the shadows of history, where honor, justice, and compensation were words that held power and privilege, a privilege reserved strictly for free men. In this world, there were others known as thralls. Thralls who operated outside the sphere of what we think of as rightful policies and laws. They were the backbone in the societies of early medieval Europe, such as the Vikings and some Anglo-Saxon communities. Yet they lived beyond the reach of written codes that bound or protected other men. You are transported to a small settlement on the edge of a thick forest, where the trees hold vigil over the secrets of the past. Among the villagers, the life of thralls played out a life caught in a paradox of necessity and invisibility. Their world was vivid, and yet they left no stories penned down before your eyes. Today it breathes by whispers and the rustle of ongoing debates among historians. Imagine you are in a bustling Viking town. Merchants haggle over prices of goods with the tang of salt water in the air. Craftsmen mold their wares while children skip like pebbles across water, playing games of eternity. In this vibrant tapestry, thralls move quietly through it all, the silent gears in a well-oiled machine. Historians still debate whether thralls were ever able to gain freedom easily. Some might have earned it through faithful service, or were granted their release as a grand gesture by a kind-hearted master. Yet the truth is as murky as water, flowing over mossy stones, shifting, elusive, never quite deciphered. The irony was palpable. A thrall could possess exceptional skill or intelligence, shaping their master's fortunes, yet remain themselves undiscussed in the tapestries of tales told. It brings a subtle snicker to your lips, the universal truth that often those who labor most in any age are devoted silently, with their acknowledgement taken for granted. The people of these times spoke of honor, justice, and compensation with reverence. Yet within their own intrigue of laws, these ideals were a realm, apart from those who toiled under the yoke of another's ownership. You can picture them, men and women, heads bowed in the subtle submission of their status, and yet in their eyes a fire burned quietly, hidden, but never fully extinguished. In the annals of time, compensation was perhaps the most key of concepts. For free men who served under a chieftain or lord, compensation was their due, measured even grand, reflecting their contribution. For thralls, this calculation wasn't part of their story. Their lives, though vital to the function of society, were trussed up in debts and dues that could rarely be repaid in kind or stature. Maybe this invokes a sense of wonder in you. In a world where balance is desired, how could such imbalance persist? From the fringes of this ancient landscape, your mind draws back to the sailors' tales and the explorers of the sea, men who had embarked in search of discovery and conquest. Did thralls long for such a liberation even in dreams? The yearning of those who are bound always lingers a veil over their waking moments and the silent songs in their sleep. And so you ponder, as the night around you deepens, you think about those countless unnamed hands that built the foundations of societies claimed by the nobles and chieftains. Their stories were made of woven threads not separate, but intricately part of the majestic tapestry of human history. As your mind hums with the quiet symphony of history, the murmurs of ancient winds wafting through time, you find yourself drifting. Just like the goat fat trick you heard about earlier used to bind scrolls while leaving no mark of the script's presence, thralls left an impression without trace. You feel warmth in this understanding as it wraps you like your favorite blanket on a cool night. It's the dichotomy that makes you smile, a calm recognition that sometimes the quietest voices create the deepest echoes. With the story unfurling gently in your mind, you let yourself relax. The night is weaving its tales, timeless and serene, alongside the rhythm of your heartbeat. You let yourself ease into the calm, knowing that the silence speaks just as loudly as the roars of history. The shackles feel cold against your ankles. You watch the ground as your feet shuffle, following the familiar path to the clearing. The sun rises steadily, casting long shadows that stretch over the soft dirt. It is an ordinary morning or so, it seems, until you catch whispered conversations among traders as you pass. You overhear snippets, something about an exchange, a new destination. You don't quite register the words until the realization settles in, like the weight of those chains you are being sold. Again, your heart aches a familiar pang, though perhaps dulled by time and repetition. The world around you continues in its patient routine, heedless of your own turmoil. Each step emphasizes the finality of this moment, a reminder that no one sought your opinion, your hope, or your dreams. Such is the world you occupy, where transactions occur quietly, simply. Today, it's you for an iron axe and a few bolts of cloth. The traders have their reasons, though you might never know them. You have heard tales of the value placed upon different objects and skills within these communities. Iron, despite its coldness, sharpness, and permanence, has always been precious. It is traded in forms of both weaponry and promise. The axe, for instance, symbolizes survival in the dense woods, a tool for building, shaping the world to human will. And cloth, well, it shelters, adorns, and signifies status, though your own garments offer little in that regard. Historians still debate whether such trades were typical, weighing human life against material needs in this starkly practical manner. Some argue it was rare, others insist it was depressingly common. The fairness of such practices may elicit heated discussions rippling centuries after these moments unfold. But today, those debates seem a distant echo as you focus on the immediate consequence: a new master awaits. As the transaction concludes, you notice the fleeting, almost imperceptible nod exchanged as if sealing an invisible contract. You're ushered towards a small caravan, your possessions meager as they are rest, bundled in a coarse sack. The landscape blurs as the wagon shifts into motion, a mix of anticipation and apprehension churning within you. The journey is quiet. These trips often are not least because words could break whatever fragile resolve you've managed to muster. Instead, there are the rhythmic creak of wooden wheels and the soft rustle of cloth from the small entourage accompanying the axe. Sometimes you catch glimpses of your new master, his profile caught in slanted sunbeams, hints of a life reflected in weathered lines, eyes that seem both kind and distant. In the stretches of silence that follow, your mind drifts to the way societies perceive value. A single tool, some fabric, yet their worth transcends their tangible form, embodying needs, demands, and cultures unfamiliar to you. Your situation, as harsh as it feels, is a testament to these nuanced networks of exchange. At night, when the campfire's warmth blends with the darkness, you occasionally find camaraderie in the people around you. The guards, traders, and other travelers are a medley of voices, languages, and stories. During one such night, light chatter about celestial navigation drifts to your ears, using stars like Polaris to guide ships to safety. It's remarkable, really, how humans look up even when bound to earth-searching skies for direction amidst uncertainty. From these conversations, a surprising detail emerges. Someone mentions a festival, often celebrated in regions far from here, where competing chants recall creatures ancient and mythic, more fantastical than the stories you've heard before, with vivid colors and mysterious beasts. A reminder that beyond this exchange and routine lies a world rich with the bizarre. Yet reality pulls you back. The campfire casts restless shadows, reminiscent of chains and exchanges. As you lay on the hard ground, swaddled in nighttime thoughts, the soft hum of insects pervades your senses. It's oddly soothing, and sleep eventually finds you even here, amidst the uncertainty. The journey continues the next day, and with it a new chapter unfolds, one painted with the mundane significance of trades, unsanctioned by your will, but cemented by time. Imagine a cool breeze stirring the field around you as you gaze upon the sprawling farmland. You're a thrall here, a bondservant in the land of the Northmen, where the promises of freedom seem as distant as the rolling hills on the horizon. They say 5 good harvests might win your freedom, but legends have a way of getting fuzzy over time, like a whispered secret passed down through generations. No one truly remembers a thrall who made it, and yet hope clings to your heart like the morning mist upon the fields. Today, as you till the earth, with deft, tireless hands, you reflect on the ancient rhythm of life around you. It pulses through the soil and up into your fingertips. The people here respect the cycles of nature, which guide their every move, from the planting of seeds to the reaping of their bounty. Even now, history teaches us that these Norse farmers were skillful agronomists, adapting crops such as barley and rye to harsh climates that tested their ingenuity as much as their resolve. But out on the fields, past the whispers of history textbooks, you discover an unusual secret the Northmen hold closely. It's said they mix seaweed with the soil. This practice replenishes the earth rich with minerals and nutrients carried from the depths of the sea and infuses the crops with an otherworldly vitality. Some historians still debate whether this method was common practice or merely a regional peculiarity. Regardless, it thrives in your corner of the world, feeding the cycle of life, both for the land itself and those who toil upon it. With calloused hands and the sun casting long shadows behind you, you take a moment to pause and lift your gaze. You remember the folks back in the longhouse who weave tales by the hearth, recounting exploits of gods and heroes. A part of you wonders if these stories, like the promise of freedom after 5 harvests, hold any truth. Or are they simply woven from dreams to comfort the weary soul? What's certain is that your own tale remains unwritten. And as hard as the effort may be, you carry on nurturing the land in hope it will one day reciprocate. The seasons change, and the sky turns into a palette of blues and grays, painting portraits of a land that is both rugged and beautiful. Winter edges closer, and as the crops are safely stored away, you find solace against the chill inside the timber-walled longhouse, the center of community life. Cloaked figures huddle close to the roaring fires, sharing news and laughter. Each face is etched with the lines of stories, echoing the oral tradition that binds them across generations. In these moments of reprieve, your thoughts drift to the uncertainty of your own history. How did you become a thrall, one with no freedom, but to dream of the day the fields themselves release you? An unusual detail springs forth from the tales. The very household bustling around you was not unlike these longhouses. Proof remains hidden in the sagas that slaves could sometimes own property and even marry into the culture that had once subjugated them. Historians still debate the extent of such freedom, like a candle flickering in an uncertain breeze. But you tuck this possibility away for warmth against a cold reality. As the conversations flow around you, your mind traces back to the customs you've come to understand, the cultural fabric woven around the very idea of trust and strength. Though you lack autonomy, you recognize the respect the Northmen have for their traditions. It's what keeps clans united. The gods oversee these affairs, watching with eyes as keen as the eagles overhead. No matter the seasons, the work never truly ends. You often study the sky, speculating if those clouds presage rain useful to blessings upon the soil. It's a marvelous unpredictability, the weather never shy of reminding you of nature's ultimate authority. Your thoughts tiptoe around what it feels like when the marks of life upon the lines of your hands might one day carry freedom, just as the runes carved onto stone assure permanence. As the wind whispers its lullabies, you remember the story of your grandmother's advice, passed down, that faith in oneself guides true purpose beyond celestial constellations and mortal circumstance. You find comfort in visioning her wise smile as she tended to her own life's harvests, no less important, though vastly different from your own. You stand on this ageless threshold where dreams rumble like distant thunder, longing to break free across the expanse of those barriers that keep you tethered. Until that day, you find peace in labor's humility, in the camaraderie of your kin around the hearth, in savoring the scent of the earth after fresh rains. These are treasures in their own right. Despite uncertain footprints upon the soil of time, you weave your story into the land that cradles its unyielding guardian. And as the horizon gently enfolds the day, you feel the weight of your chains, but a little less, thanks to nature's embrace and the light of tomorrows that glow gently within your dreams. You find yourself in the midst of an ancient village, nestled against the backdrop of a snow-draped forest. It's the winter festival, a time when the air is thick with ritual and mystery. The scene is eerily enchanting with flickering torches, casting warm glows on weathered faces and shadows, dancing like spirits against the cold, dark night. This is not just any festival. The gathering of villagers garbed in furs and wrapped in blankets to stave off the chill, all focus on a singular purpose, a rite dedicated to their gods. It's here that a slave is chosen an honor that you might think twice about accepting. The selection is steeped in tradition, a ceremony passed down through generations, like an old family recipe. Though with a much darker flavor, chants rise into the frigid air voices, weaving together in somber harmony, echoing the intricate patterns of history. Hey, at least it's a kind of immortality, you ponder with a hint of sarcasm, tugging at the corners of your mind, a survival tactic from those distant frosty days when you were just a listener at the edge of the mead hall, absorbing tales and legends to fill the long, cold nights. Drums begin their rhythmic pulsing, a heartbeat for the earth grounding you, even as the snow crunches beneath your feet, a reminder that despite the routines of modern life, these primitive beats are in your bones, the ancient rhythm of a winter long past. As the villagers form a circle, the significance of this ritual unfolds like a mist before you, heavy with anticipation. It's a curious sight steeped in history and uncertainty. Did they fear the gods? Historians still debate whether these rites originated from devotion or despair. Perhaps it was a bit of both. You watch, keenly aware that tonight one among them will be chosen. There's a surprising solemnity to it, in stark contrast to the violent traditions depicted in graphic novels or blockbusters. There's a quiet dignity here, a communal acceptance that this is how things have always been done. You cannot help but feel a rush of trepidation mixed with a peculiar sense of excitement, a blend of emotions only such primal ceremonies can evoke. The drums fade, the chants become whispers, and then suddenly silence falls over the village like the first snowflake in a storm. The air feels thick and expectant, each person holding their breath, waiting, listening. In this moment of stillness, it's as if time itself has paused to watch what will unfold, to witness which soul will be offered to the gods, an ancient tradition wrapped in enigma and incense. As the village elder steps forward, his face a map of wrinkles and wisdom, you find yourself swept up in the gravity of his presence. His voice, though cracked with age, rings clear cutting through the stillness as he speaks the name of one chosen. The echoes of his announcement float away on the cold wind, leaving the crowd in a hushed reverence. You wonder about this chosen one's thoughts, what it feels like internally when the eyes of the gods are believed to fall upon you. Behind the gazes of their peers, perhaps there's a sliver of peace, a resignation steeped in the knowledge that their sacrifice holds meaning, charting a tradition written in the ancient language of necessity and survival. Amidst your musings, a historical fact pops into your mind, a wandering thought to anchor the evening. You recall that in certain cultures the chosen were sometimes revered as divine beings, themselves believed to transcend mortal limits by this acceptance of fate. This practice wasn't a universal truth, but a whispered possibility among the countless strands of human tradition. As you dwell on this, something unexpected strikes you. The seamless acceptance of their customs leaves you questioning your own understanding, a reminder that history, like stories, is often shaped by the teller. A curiosity lingers on how such traditions might evolve, adapting and surviving across endless winters and changing landscapes. The ceremony gradually dissolves back into the hum of quiet conversations and the crackle of distant fires. Life in the village resumes its rhythm, yet the shadows of the winter ritual linger in your thoughts, subtle echoes that nestle in the corners of your mind like an old melody. As the night deepens, you sense the stillness settling in your bones, a gentle reminder of the peaceful lullaby woven by the rhythm of life and history, unspooling especially under the watchful ancient eyes that seem to hold the secrets of time itself. Listening to the soft whispers of the past, you find yourself drifting along with the gentle cadence of a story, nearing its rest, a narrative like a trail of stars guiding you into the comforting embrace of slumber. With eyes slowly closing, you settle back content in the quiet assurance that the mysteries of old still have the power to cradle us to sleep. In the dim flickering glow of an evening fire, you sit quietly surrounded by the embrace of soft shadows. The air is filled with the light rustling of leaves and the gentle crackle of flames, casting a warm glow over your weary face. There's a comfort in this solitude, a timeless quality that links you to the countless generations who have sat just like this, reflecting on the day's events and dreams of what tomorrow might bring. As you settle into the rhythm of the night, your thoughts drift to a figure moving through the shadows. She approaches with a steady, unhurried grace, a warm loaf cradled gently in her hands. The aroma wafts towards you, carrying with it the promise of simple pleasures, a comforting presence in an uncertain world. Her eyes, catching the firelight, reveal no fear or cruelty. Instead, they offer a fleeting moment of fragile warmth, a quiet kindness that feels like a balm against the harshness of life's realities. It's a reminder of how connection and goodwill can flourish even in the most unexpected places. Historians still debate whether the art of bread making, once considered an almost mystical craft, played a pivotal role in early societal structures. What is known is that bread has been a staple of human diet for thousands of years, serving not only as sustenance, but as a means of bringing people together. Consider, for instance, the ancient Egyptians, who are credited with pioneering leavened bread over 4,000 years ago. Imagine the awe of the first baker discovering how wild yeast and fermentation could transform mere flour and water into something so elaborate. Now here lies your own slice of wonder, warm to the touch, imbued with the same foundation of tradition. Life in this sense is a continuous sharing of what nourishes us both physically and emotionally. Just as with those who came together over bread in times long past, you feel a little less alone. Your mind wanders back to medieval feasts, where bread often served as both plate and meal trenchers they were called. While you have the privilege of modern utensils and dishware, there's a certain thrill in imagining those rustic tables filled with banter and clinking of cups, a testament to the power of communal stories. Yet here you are not in a grand hall, but a more intimate setting, a place where history and the present gently curve into one another, not unlike the crust of this bread, with stories and memories baked into every bite. As you take a piece for yourself, the warmth seeps into your fingers, a comforting sensation amidst the cool night air. As you chew, her eyes hold yours briefly, and there's an understanding beyond words, a silent pact that you've both found something meaningful in the simplicity of the moment. In the old days, perhaps, this exchange would accompany blessings or tales of gods perched upon their celestial thrones, wielding storm and sun as storytelling devices. Breaking bread becomes more than just about the food. It's a symbol of peace, hospitality, and diplomacy, much like the olive branches extended by ancient Spartans to form alliances. Could it be that such a simple act holds the power to bridge gaps, to soothe wounds, or forge unlikely friendships? The more you ponder, the more you recognize these unspoken truths, much like how scientists continue to unravel the mysteries of our past through archaeology and ancient scripts. Yet much like those bygone bakers' serendipitous yeast discoveries, some mysteries linger, whispering tales of the possible connections beyond logic and reason. Your companion smiles gently, her expression asking nothing more than your presence, your acceptance of this small offering. The moment lingers, stretching time as only a perfect night can. Bread's significance throughout history is often understated, but not here. Here it is everything a guide. Through the labyrinth of time, a witness to the tapestry of human journey, a reminder of our capacity for resilience and kindness. The loaf empties steadily as the evening winds soothe the closing day's jitters. Perhaps you think the real magic lies in these pauses between the world's chaos, where you can breathe deeply and share humanity with another soul. And so the night drifts on, ushering in a comforting silence as the warmth of the fire softens to embers. A sense of tranquility envelops you, echoing those ancient hearthsides warmed by dough and camaraderie. The moon rises higher, painting the landscape with its gentle silver light, a celestial echo of the fire's former blaze. In the end, as the shadows deepen and the world tips towards sleep, you're reminded that sometimes, in the simplest acts such as sharing a loaf of bread, lies the profound beauty of our ancient shared human story. At night, the whisper of the sea beckons you. The salt air hangs thick, creating a familiar tang that fills your senses. You can hear the timeless rhythm of the distant waves as they roll and retreat, an echo that has comforted countless sailors before you. Sometimes, as you sit in your solitude, you let your imagination drift, picturing a boat bobbing gently on the water, a vessel that might just bear you to new horizons. That unyielding call of the ocean resonates deeply. For centuries, explorers have felt it too, those brave souls who stared at the edge of the known world and wondered what lay beyond. You think of explorers like Leif Erikson, who historians say may have been one of the first Europeans to reach the shores of North America, likely landing in what we now call Newfoundland. It's curious to ponder whether the Vikings, with their intricate carvings and fierce tales, gazed out on their journeys and pondered the boundless mystery that is the sea. The concept of a boat, a simple yet profound means of escape and discovery, is irresistible. Each creak of wooden planks, each snap of the sail, holds the potential for adventure. You chuckle softly, thinking perhaps you would not survive the Viking Age with all its trials and uncertainties, but the romance of it all is eternally captivating. Historians still debate whether Eriksson's journey was as heroic as the sagas claim. There are stories of winemaking in Vinland which some suggest could have been an exaggeration to glorify the land to potential settlers. Yet the thought of those bold Scandinavians venturing into unknown waters stirs something in you, a desire perhaps to carve out your own path, to discover the world beyond your immediate perception. As you sit with these imaginings, the night gently unfolds. The air is cool against your skin, soothing and refreshing, as if inviting you into a deeper contemplation. The occasional cry of a distant gull punctuates the symphony of the night, a reminder of the life teeming just beyond the horizon. Sometimes you consider if there's a boat out there waiting for you, a way out of the everyday and into something extraordinary. Perhaps not a literal boat, but an opportunity, a path less traveled, much like those ancient explorers who charted courses through wild seas to lands unknown. The idea that your own adventure could be just beyond the dawn intrigues you. It's as if the night itself carries secrets whispered only to those willing to listen closely. Like a lullaby, the ocean's song lulls you into a comfortable haze. The visions of daring exploits and untold discoveries spinning effortlessly in your mind. Maybe one day, like those adventurers before you, you'll set sail into the unknown, propelled by dreams and the whispers of the vast, inviting sea. You stand in the shadow of the setting sun, the sky painted with hues of oranges and purples, a backdrop to a gathering of somber faces. The chieftain, a revered figure whose reign had been both feared and respected, has died. A time-honored ritual unfolds before you, a thrall chosen to accompany the chieftain into the afterlife. A grim honor, they say, and one that spares you, but not without its own cost. Labored breaths and the scent of incense fill the air as you watch from the sidelines, a muted observer to the spectacle of tradition. The chosen thrall, shoulders squared with a mark of resignation, steps forward. His fate is sealed with a nod from the elder. The murmurs around you speak of sacrifice and duty, yet you can't help but feel the chill that seeps from the earth as the shadows grow long and the daylight wanes. In ancient times, it was believed that chieftains required their trusted servants in the afterlife an echo of loyalty to accompany them. This practice, heavy with ritual, stems from a deep-seated belief in continuity beyond death. Historians still debate whether this tradition was born out of reverence or simply fear a line blurred by the passing of generations. As the thrall is led away, silent acceptance lingers in the air, and those left behind resume their tasks, their hands moving with mechanical purpose, each action a distraction from the hollow melancholy nestled within their chests. The village continues its rhythm, a heartbeat steadying against the loss, determined to forge ahead amid the cycle of life and death. You move along with the others, your hands instinctively finding their way to the worn implements of your labor. Wood meets stone, fabric meets needle. Mundane tasks that shelter your mind from thoughts of destiny and duty. And yet curiosity beckons like an itch, a whisper of uncertainty, tugging at the corners of your consciousness. A passing elder catches your eye, pausing to lay a gnarled hand on your shoulder, a gesture of both comfort and grounding. An honor, he murmurs words, meant to soothe yet sharp, with the weight of duty and survival. The balance between life and death is delicate, and here in the heart of your community, it is an ever-present reality. Your surroundings seem almost timeless, a living tableau, where each person plays a role in the grand narrative of existence. This continuity is perhaps as entrenched as the stories themselves, oral histories passed between generations, like heirlooms. The tales of battles, fought seasons harsh and kind, and the spirits that walk among the living to guide and protect. Even as night falls, stars begin to prickle through the deepening blue of the sky, and the village settles into a quieter rhythm. You lay a fresh log on the fire, watching as the flames come to life, casting flickering shadows across the ground. There's solace to be found in these moments of quiet simplicity, where the questions that usually haunt you find themselves lulled into a softened quietude. Not far from where you stand, children gather round a storyteller, their eyes wide with the wonder of imagination. It is a scene familiar and comforting, reminding you of your own childhood, when tales of gods and heroes filled your dreams with adventure and excitement. The stories told are remnants of a past long gone, yet living in their telling a tradition as enduring as the village itself. In this pause, you reflect on the paradox of your spared life. Immersed in gratitude, yet tangled with guilt, a survivor bound to the labor that ensures your survival. Each motion a defiance against mortality, rebuffing the inevitable passage of time. Yet through it all, the fire crackles heartily, a reminder that life persists, renewing itself in the warmth of kinship and community. As the stars wheel overhead, the fires begin to dwindle, and a gentle calm descends upon the village, drawing you into its embrace. The night's breath is cool against your skin, carrying whispers of dreams yet born. You find solace in the simplicity of breath, in the rhythmic ebb and flow that mirrors the silent drum of the human heart. The ancients believed stars were the souls of those who had passed on, watching over the living from the celestial sphere, an enchanting notion that brings comfort and wonder as you let your gaze dance among their shimmering light. Here, beneath the vast expanse, you feel a sense of belonging, an intrinsic part of the endless continuum of life. Tonight, in the quietude between breaths, you make peace with your own place in the story woven seamlessly into the tapestry of existence. Tomorrow will bring its own trials and moments of beauty, and with it the understanding that each day is an honor, a gift to be cherished. The village slows as if synchronizing with the rhythm of the universe. Guided by a shared instinct, a collective sigh of relief as sleep takes hold. And so, under this ever-changing sky, marked by tradition and the grace of 1,000 stars, you let your eyes close, surrendering to the peacefulness of dreams that float soft and tranquil on the night air. The trees are in bloom again, painting the landscape with vibrant hues of pinks and whites. Birds return from their winter haunts, filling the air with songs that speak of renewal. People around you are laughing, caught in the tide of spring. Yet, as you walk towards the river with an empty bucket in each hand, you notice how little has changed for you. The water is still as cold, the distance just as long, and the load just as heavy. You pause for a moment, taking in the familiar landscape. The fields are lush with growth thanks to the long months of sowing and tending. Those grains, which are now mere blades, hold the promise of harvest. But this promise is not yours. It belongs to another someone who sees you as merely an extension of the earth, bound only to toil from sunup to sundown. As you dip your bucket into the river, the frigid water rushes over your hand, and you think about how each season brings its own chores, yet the core of your existence remains unchanged. It is a constant as predictable as the sunrise. The life of a slave bound to the land, waiting only for the year's round of endless cycles. In the distance, the sound of laughter seems almost foreign, as if it belongs to another world. It is said that, around this very time, in some far-off land across the ocean, an enlightened philosopher is writing about the rights of men. His ideas, radical and new, challenge the existence of slavery, planting seeds of doubt in the very minds of those who perpetuate it. Yet here and now, such notions seem as distant as the stars. Your mind drifts, as it often does, to tales told around the fire. There is one about a slave who gained freedom by outsmarting his master. Historians can only speculate whether he was cunning or merely lucky. The story varies, with each telling embellished, perhaps like that time you heard about butter carving. Who knew such an art existed? Returning to your path, you balance the water-filled buckets on a yoke across your shoulders. It's a painfully familiar task, but it does give you time to think. You remember how last winter, during the long, dark evenings, news traveled about the pharaoh's laborers in ancient Egypt. They too walked a similar path, balancing stones instead of water, erecting monuments that would stand for millennia. Historians still debate whether these were built by slaves or paid workers. Regardless, the sweat and toil remained unchanged. Progress is slow, painstaking. The sun arcs higher, and anticipation swells as you approach the fields. These fields, still muddy from recent rains, hold the promise that will keep you busy for months to come. The planting season is demanding relentless, but it offers a momentary escape from the mind's drudgery. There's comfort in the rhythmic swing of the hoe, the feel of soft earth between your fingers, and the occasional blessing of a cool breeze. One spring morning, perhaps a day, not unlike today, a field worker near Jerusalem uncovered an extravagant hoard of Roman silver coins as he sowed his crop. A day's work transformed into a moment of discovery. Quite a surprise to find such wealth in the same dirt he tilled each day. But the legends claim he remained in his field, bound to the life he knew, as if fortune was merely a continuation of his daily routine. The authorities did not believe such tales, always finding something to dispute. Bird songs drift through your reverie, calling you back to your task. You plant seeds one after another, falling into a rhythm that almost becomes a meditative state. This comforting monotony breaks on the laughter of a child, trailing behind you playing in the far end of the field. You remember how in all seasons life moves forward. Each passing season is marked by growth, not just in the fields, but also in the people. The child will grow stronger, taller, and that laughter may soon turn to laborious grunts as he too takes on responsibilities. Perhaps his fate might be different. Perhaps somewhere in the whirlwind of change, he may find an exit from the relentless cycle. You plant this thought like a seed in your mind, nurturing it alongside the grains. Traditions remain, though. The same songs sung at twilight, the same whispered stories of rebellion and freedom danced by crackling fires. It might feel like everything is as static as those pyramids under the harsh desert sun. But even in those static times, small ripples of change are constant. You pause to wipe the sweat from your brow, contemplating how even those who appear trapped like you have managed to make marks on the world. One day, should a fortuitous moment reveal itself, the seeds of these musings might sprout into something far beyond the periphery of your current imagination. The freedom you wish for, perhaps still just a distant dream, thrives in the heart, despite life's chains. Work continues. The field is vast and responsibilities grow tall, like the summer crops. You carry on visualizing yourself beyond the horizon. Here, laughter and sorrow bound together transcend the limiting confines of your existence. As the sun starts its descent, painting the sky with strokes of orange and violet, the day draws to a close, yet the story continues. Just as the fields you tend to will yield and ultimately fade, so too does each season prime you for the next relentless cycle of survival and hope endured in measure. The air cools, and the laughter that seemed so distant now feels like a soft blanket that wraps the weary in the comfort of a collective experience shared through time. With each slow step homeward, the gentle cycle of the day lulls you towards rest, promising renewal with the dawn. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I'd love to hear from you, so feel free to post your location and local time in the comments. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The wind rustles the thatch above you. You curl beneath a ragged cloth, feeling a strange comfort in the frayed edges and the scent of earth, and where that clings to it. The gentle whisper of the wind intertwines with your thoughts, carrying you over the rolling hills of memory to a place that no longer calls your name, but eternally whispers of home. As you lie there snug in your transient cocoon, you reflect on the simplicity of this life. No one comes to disturb the quietude of your evening, and there is a kind of peace in that solitude. Yet amid this tranquility, nestled between the desire for silence and the whispers of the past, you find yourself dreaming of distant comforts, the kind known only to the heart that longs for its place in the world. This thatch is unlike any other. It tells a story all its own. The leaves whisper secrets of those who've sat beneath them, and as you listen, you're reminded of the tales of ancient civilizations, those who built great empires, yet lived with the same longing for home. Did you know that historians still debate whether the great city of Troy was entirely myth or a true bastion of battle and beauty? Its story, much like yours, is woven into the fabric of whispered history. And as with many tales, the most startling truths catch us off guard. Consider how the ancient Egyptians walking along the Nile's banks decided to build their pyramids with an ingenious alignment to the stars, a task as monumental as it was mysterious. If you close your eyes, you might almost picture yourself walking among them, thoughtful and curious. Yet here you are, snug beneath a cloak of dreams, far from pyramids and conquests, with only the wind to accompany your quiet revelations. Surprising details abound even in the simplest of places. The same stars that guided sailors across uncharted seas now guide your thoughts inward, where dreams take flight on moonbeams. It's a curious thing how you lie beneath this roof of the earth and gaze at such cosmic wonders. You remember reading an obscure fact in ancient Rome they would mix ashes with clay to create concrete that still stands today. It makes you wonder what small, unexpected contributions your own humble existence might whisper to the ages. In the warmth of your cocoon, you muse about other windswept tales. Some say the whispering grasses hold more stories than all the annals of history. What do they know of the great libraries of times past, perhaps? Of Alexandria, for example, whose surviving myths suggest more was lost to flames than we will ever comprehend. But tonight is not for lamenting loss. It's for curling deeper into yourself and finding solace in dreams. You think on the idea that medieval European superstition held the wind as an omen. The northwest wind brought good fortune, while the east wind may have whispered warnings. The corners of your homeland heart flutter with these thoughts. As you drift, the world around you melts away, leaving only the rustle above to serenade you. No one may call your name now, but the echo of it finds its way to you in the most unexpected ways, perhaps through the gentle laugh of a brook or the soft nicker of a horse as it grazes nearby. The earth remembers even if the people do not. Yet you recall how once in your youth the world seemed so vast and every shadow held a promise of discovery. You were a wanderer then, untethered and infinite. Each step was an adventure, each breeze a song. Memory serves a strange banquet, doesn't it? Bits of joy intermingled with uncertainty, a talisman of who you once were. And now, as your eyes grow heavy beneath the weight of day's wanderings, that old restlessness tucks itself comfortably beneath your makeshift blanket. Thus, in the embrace of the night and the soothing whisper of the world around you, your dreams of home suffice, promising tales yet untold and whispers yet to be woven into the patchwork quilt of your life. The rustling wind soothes you further into peace, each breath a subtle cadence winding down. In the distance past the plains of consciousness, the world softens like the sea at twilight. Gentle waves of history lap at the shore of your thoughts, receding until all that remains is a calm tide. You feel the gentle presence of time, a companion in your dreams. The stars whisper ancient lullabies, hinting at the mysteries of ages past and the serenity of all that is yet to come. You may find yourself thinking of moments you've lived and those still to be realized, yet here, nestled at this confluence of time and dream, there is no hurry. The wind guides you to a realm where imagination meets reverie, where dreams brush softly against the soul. You breathe deeply, allowing the warmth of comfort to envelop you, each exhalation a step further into the tranquil expanse. So let your eyelashes flutter closed, like the soft binding of an old book filled with stories and dreams forever cherished. In this stillness, you are at home across centuries, their whispers carrying your name like a gentle promise amidst the echo of eternity. Rest now cradled in the embrace of these gentle whispers as the world settles into the gentle hush of shared dreams, vibrant yet serene. Let the quiet hum of the night soothe you, the last gentle turn in a tale told beneath that hallowed thatch where history dances in gentle fingers through wind-tossed leaves, lulling you deeper into the realm of serene slumber, forever adrift, yet forever home.